Coming up later in this video, me and Sergio had a nightmare today because it's been snowing and traffic's been awful, and we're all the way up in Leeds, having driven from the south coast and having to drive back to the south coast. However, what is coming up is a 2020 Model 3 long range refresh. How exactly does it compare on a 70 plate? It's an early refresh one with the heat pump, but the 75 kilowatt battery. How does it compare in a long run through the snow in Convoy with the long range Highland? Well, that's coming up later in this video, but in the meantime, back to the original introduction. Good morning everybody, welcome. My name's Richard, and this video is going to be about driving an electric car in the worst possible conditions in terms of weather. It's cold, there's forecast for snow, it's been pouring with rain the whole time, we've got weather alerts across the country, and I'm doing a massive trip from the south coast to Birmingham to Leeds and then back to the south coast. And I'm going to be using the Tesla Model 3 Highland. This is a long range dual motor version. And we've done a couple of videos already showing a couple of road trips and the incredible efficiency we get out of this thing, even at motorway speeds. Typically, I mean, my long-term efficiency so far of everything's 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. It can do 5 miles per kilowatt hour, but today the heating's going on all day, the wipers are on, the radio's on, the lights are on, there's lots of standing water on the road, so it's about the worst possible efficiency conditions you can get. So, what's it going to be like? Well, we're about to find out. So, my name's Richard, and this is an epic road trip in the worst possible conditions in the UK. Okay, I'll get out of the rain in a minute, but let me just describe what's going on. So here I am now at Banbury, and what's happening basically is we're taking this Mercedes EQC over here and dropping it off to a client in Sutton Coldfield, just north of Birmingham. We left home already a couple of hours ago, 5:45 this morning, from just outside Bournemouth on the south coast. Now, I was plugged in at home, up to 100% charge on the long range. Serge is with me today. Gintz is back in the office editing all these videos. So Serge is with me today and he's driving the EQC at the moment. So he left home just over 80% state of charge. We covered about, well, for him about 115 miles, for me 110. We rendezvoused just near Ringwood. And that car's down to 14% battery already. So we're stopping and topping it up here at the Osprey Chargers in Banbury. I've still got, after 110 miles, well, I've just turned on 59%, so say 41% used, with a much worse efficiency than normal, 272 watt hours per mile. So I've plugged in even though I don't need to, because I may as well just top it up whilst we're waiting for Serge here. And we're going to go off and have a coffee in a minute. I mean, we had an early start, been in the car for well over 2 hours already in his awful conditions, ready for coffee. All right, sorry Serge, oh yeah, you can keep the door shut. What was your efficiency just by comparison? I mean, the EQC is never going to be as efficient as the Model 3, but what did you get? 2 miles per kilowatt hour?
Yeah, it was saying 2.1 when I got here, but it's 2 now.
2 miles per kilowatt hour, okay. Okay, I've unplugged at 90% and just waiting for Serge. He's just about to unplug his car at 70% now. There's a Costa Coffee over here, by the way. It's not that obvious, but just past Curry's there. So if you're ever at Banbury and think there's nowhere to go to the toilet or have a coffee, then there is Costa Coffee just around there, tucked away. So 90% state of charge, only 4 degrees Celsius now, 8:30. So currently I'm up to 272 watt hours per mile. Let's see what we get on the next section. And let's see if we get some snow. Hour and 11 minutes, 50 miles.
Yeah.
Arrival 9:40. Right, off we go. Update now 9:45 in the morning and arrived in Sutton Coldfield. 266 watt hours per mile on that leg there, last 50 miles. The EQC there, a couple of miles per kilowatt hour, less efficient as expected. It's that, based on that first leg, real world range about 165, 170 miles. So obviously with that lack of efficiency, struggling. It is what it is. I'll tell you what the EQC is though. It's a lovely, comfortable car to drive, and I actually really like them. Not that big inside actually, so surprising, but they are lovely and comfortable. Okay, so it's coming up to 11 o'clock in the morning, temperature's dropped now to 1 degrees and we're getting sleet and there's bits of snow around now. The road's starting to get a little bit slushy, so this is not very efficient driving through this kind of slush. However, 256 watt hours per mile on this part of the journey so far. So we'll see how we go. I think we'll try and stick towards some main roads soon. Okay, so we're now at the Hartshead Moor services near Leeds, and that was a big slog. We had to stop for a wee somewhere else on the way actually, but now we're going to plug it in and charge, which is the first time since Banbury. So I've got 17% of the battery now. Serge is outside just plugging it in now. And now it had some preheating. We're down to -1 outside, and as you can see there, conditions aren't brilliant. Look at the efficiency though, 332, obviously the worst I've seen. And then since the last charge in Banbury, I've done 180 miles from 90% to 17%. That's 299 watt-hours per mile, 289 for the day so far. So obviously efficiency not as good as normal, understandably so. Now, there was some preheating happening, but there was a section across the hills where the traffic was very bad. I don't know if it's going to show now, but along here on the M62. So I will admit, I turned off the preconditioning just in case, with the weather deteriorating like this, it was going to come to complete standstill and actually stop. In which case we don't want to waste energy heating the battery. Now, electric cars are great in the snow, by the way. The traction's great, and you can be in the cold, not moving for quite a long time. In fact, just as long as you can run an engine for, so you can stay stationary, have the heat running for a very, very long time indeed. It's not a problem. But you obviously, like any common sense, like if you've got a petrol diesel car, you want to just keep a bit of fuel in the tank spare in case you do end up stuck for some time. So common sense rules apply. So -2 degrees now, it's dropping even more now. So 18%, I'm only charging 64 kilowatts actually. So you can see there it wasn't really properly preconditioned because I was being cautious. But that's okay, it doesn't matter. We're bursting for a wee, we're now hungry, it's 1 o'clock. So we're gonna go across the car park and get some food. I'll get my coat on first. I'll see you in a little bit. We'll make a snowman. Okay, so we stopped just long enough to have 6 inches of tuna Subway. And these are V2 superchargers, so it's actually shared power, that's why it's slow. Somebody unplugged and it went up to 125 kilowatts and then it went down again when someone else plugged in. So we leave here now, -2 degrees Celsius, 136 with 55% of the battery. And we're just gonna go about 20 minutes away and pick up a car, so let's do that. Right, onward through the snow. Okay, we're now at Leeds service centre charging again because the Tesla we just picked up had barely any charge in it actually. So luckily Leeds service centre is just a couple of miles away, so we've just come here to charge, and it was nice to have a coffee actually. Now what's quite interesting is the other car, the other Model 3, now that is a refresh heat pump model, but an early one. It's on a 70 plate, but it's the refresh one. Now that charges faster, so only arrived with I think about 4 or 5%. And he's at about 86% now, and I'm just coming on to 90% now, having plugged in at about 48%. So that's, you know, that one's really caught up. I think this car, the Highland, is slower to charge, especially in that top segment. Right, that's charging complete, so let's do this in one swoop. So there we are, 90%. We're about to leave the Tesla service centre, and so we'll have a new trip as well. And at last, we can head back to the south coast because it already now is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the weather's still closing in. Let's have a look where Serge is at. There's a spare space there, someone needs it. Okay, so this is a 70 plate Model 3. So I've just clicked onto 90%, Serge. Where are you at?
87.
87, so that really caught up, didn't it? So going from Leeds and probably stop about Oxford somewhere, yeah? I think we're going to need to stop by then anyway. I think it's going to be a slow journey again. 3:04, over 3 hours just to get to Oxford, and then we're another couple of hours from there. So we've got 5 hours of driving yet, Serge, if the traffic behaves, which it hasn't so far today because it keeps snowing. Right, okay, so you're about to unplug, so you've got a couple of minutes and then we're headed off. Yep. Ooh, nice Model S. Nice alloys on a new Model 3 there. They are nice, it's just cost it a little bit of efficiency. Right, I'm going to unplug. We're still battling traffic. So we're passing Sheffield. But look, this is going to be interesting. So we both left at 90%, having just finished charge. The Highland a couple of minutes before the other car. And we're both going to drive the same distance, at the same speed, in the same conditions. So we're going to be able to get a really good range of how an early refresh, so like the 2021 Model 3 Long Range, compares to the Highland Long Range. Both for efficiency, but also for charging. So when we do stop and charge, we can plug in at the same time. And I think the other car charges faster. The 75 kilowatt hour packs charge faster than the 79s. And this one does seem quite slow at charging at the top end. So I think any differences in range, because this has got a slightly bigger battery, could easily be made up for by the fact that car charges faster, and they should both have sort of comparable efficiency. They're both heat pump cars. Again, this has got the new version of the Michelin tyres. That's got the older version of Michelin tyres. They're both on 18-inch wheels with the aero covers. So it's going to be quite an interesting comparison, this, if we ever make progress, because this is slow going. Having a nightmare of traffic. So we just made a quick stop at Woodall Services, where there's some Tesla chargers on the other side. There's a whole bank of new chargers here as well for other electric cars, or Teslas if you want. Serge just needs a wee, so we're in a quick stop here. But then we'll carry on the journey back, comparing these two cars for their comparative efficiency range. And then what we can do is say, look, when we stop and charge, how long does it take each one to add, say, another 200 miles of range, for example? We'll see how we go for time, but we might do something like that. In the meantime, I'm getting back in the car, it's freezing. Hey, Serge. Hey, Serge, how you doing? I think we started clearing the traffic now, which is good. Do you need to stop over yet, or do you want to carry on to Oxford?
No, carry on, yeah, we're all good.
Okay, my car with 68 miles to go still until we get to Oxford has just come up with its preconditioning the battery for fast charging. So before that distorts the efficiency figure, since we last charged, I've got 269 watt hours per mile in the Highland. What have you got?
286.
286 watt hours per mile. So the Highland is a bit more efficient then, although it's not tons in it, but it's a bit more efficient. That's good. So I'm going to arrive to Oxford, is predicting with 25% battery. What about you?
Oh wow, 11%.
Okay, so there's a bit of a gap opening up there. All right, well, is yours preheating for fast charging yet?
No, not yet, no.
Okay, well maybe because this is a bigger battery it starts preheating earlier. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, well, before mine preheats, 269 watt hours per mile. Not doing too bad considering it's still raining constantly.
Yeah.
Well, I've cleared the snow now and the traffic's moving. Okay, so quite interestingly, the car just actually counts as my supercharging because I can just go home now and have, at the moment, 3%, but it keeps going up. So it's actually said, well, look, you don't need to supercharge. I'll just go home. But I know that the other car does, so I'm going to put in the supercharger as a waypoint so that it does go there. It does do the preheating for that charging process, and then we'll try and do a comparison of how they each charge, how long each one takes to add X number of miles. So but interestingly, I could quite easily go back home now from Leeds in awful weather from 90% battery in the Highland. So I've got 46% now, and it's still 130 miles to go. So yeah, I know it would do that quite happily, even though it's still raining. That was a leg, wasn't it? That was a journey. So,
Yeah.
before we plug in and charge, let's get the numbers of each car. So I've still got 27% battery remaining, which means I use 63% of the battery to cover the 171 miles since that last charge from 90%. So that, if I divide the 171 divided by the 63%, gives this car a range from 100% to zero pro rata in its conditions of 271 miles, which is about as worse as I've ever had it, but it's been atrocious conditions. Now I've used 47 kilowatt hours and averaged 274 watt hours per mile. So over to Serge. What have you got for battery left, Serge, in your older Model 3 long range? Will be at 75 kilowatt battery probably, 79, smaller battery. What have you got?
I got 11% left.
Right, okay, so you use 79%. So that car then has got a range in these conditions, pro rata, 216 miles. Okay, so there's a bit of difference there, isn't there? But let's see what you've got. How many kilowatt hours did you use? I used 47.
I use 50.
So 3 kilowatt hours more. And your efficiency, mine's 274 watt hours per mile.
292.
292. Yeah, so this is more efficient than that one, and that is still a heat pump car. So maybe it's down to aerodynamics and tyres, one would assume. Right, so let's plug in. Now let's say, Serge, that we've got to do the same journey again. Now I know I've used 63% of the battery, so I'm going to charge for 63%. You use 79% of the battery, so you've got to charge for 79%. All right? Now I think that car charges faster than this car, but let's see exactly the difference. So let's get out and we'll plug them in. And those efficiency numbers are with preheating for fast charging. So let's see what I'm ramping up to. So 120, 144, 156, 164. Go on, there we go. 170 kilowatts, nice. 171 at 27% battery, 174. Okay, let's see it peak. So I've got 187, 193. It seems to have steadied off there. 193. Okay, now it's going down a little bit. So I saw 193, but I'm all 28%, so what have we got in the older car? I went to 193, but I'm at 28%, so yeah, so it's charging quick. 220, 254. Look at that. Guess we got to bear in mind that older car there has got 3 years of age over this one, and it's got 65,000 miles on it, so I've lost a couple of kilowatt hours in its time. Good. Okay, right, what am I charging at now? 157 kilowatts at 34%. Right, we will have to stop and go for a loo in a minute. There's steam coming out here. It's obviously nice and warm. 213. Okay, right, let's take a break. Let's see which one recovers those miles fastest. All right, Serge, toilet break done. It's better, isn't it? 57% already.
Yeah.
All right, that's not bad, is it? Let's charge like a beast.
Yeah. What's yours on?
60%. So I've got to get to 63 if I was to do the same journey again. And I'm charging at 84 kilowatts at 60. But as a percentage, you very nearly caught up already.
Yeah.
And your car was 27, you were 11 when we got here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Highland on the left here, and I'm at 63% at 4 minutes past 7. So that's me, I could do another 171 miles now. But you're also at 63%. Look at the charging speed difference. Highland's doing 79 kilowatts. The older car's doing 96 kilowatts. So there's your faster charging speed, even at the battery, same state of health, state of charge. So it's 4 minutes past 7. How much longer is it going to take you to get to 79%? There we are, 79, and it's 12 minutes past. So it is 8 minutes behind to do the charging, enough to do another 171 miles, the Highlands. In the meantime, the Highland's at 76%, charging at 59 kilowatts. Yours is at 79%, charging at 62 kilowatts. So even at the highest state of charge there, still charging at a faster rate. There we go, interesting differences. Right then, as Sergio's eating his dinner, look, he's got his bag of crisps. Let's unplug and go, let's get home. So we've still got another 100 miles to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go. 8:40 in the evening, and I'm back home. So let's round up a couple of things then. So we've got the sort of day as a whole, and then we got compared to the older Model 3. So since that charge in Oxford, 82 miles, 23 kilowatt hours used, 282 hours per mile. And I can promise you, it has been absolutely pouring the whole way with tons of standing water. Here's my consumption, 31.2% used. Climate only 0.8%. It's not too bad, is it? Let's see what the older Model 3's got, then I'll round up this Highland and a couple of things that aren't so good. Serge is next to me, like it's pitch black, you probably can't see him. All right, Serge, what have you got for the kilowatt hours used in that last trip since charge?
24 kilowatts.
24?
Yeah.
I'm 23. And how many watt hours per mile is your efficiency?
Since that charge?
Yeah.
294.
282. So it's quite consistent results. The Highland's a bit more efficient than the previous Model 3 Long Range, even though it's a heat pump one. Aerodynamics, tyres, I don't know. If you bring up your trip graph for that journey, how much have you used on climate?
0.9%.
Oh, 0.8%. So slightly better there. And 29.5% on driving.
36.1.
Okay, right, there you go. So there's some differences there. Right, so let's round up a few things about the day then. So in total, In fact, I'll show you that. Look, the whole trip today, 564 miles with a total average of 285 watt hours per mile, including all the precondition for charging. So, I'm going to close the window, sorry, Serge. Can you do long trips in an electric car in bad weather? Yes, you can. Certainly one of these. Pretty ideal car for it. It's as efficient as they get for motorway speeds in the most atrocious weather all day long. That's the worst I've had from this car. It still gives the car a range of about 270 miles, even in kind of worst case conditions. Was charging inconvenient? No, I needed to stop more times than the car. There were other times we stopped for the toilet and stuff where we didn't charge or do any charging at all. So we're definitely at a stage where you need to stop more than the car, to be honest. And we've got pretty good stamina. We're used to long days and long distances. So 564 miles is like south coast, very nearly up to Inverness. It's a long journey. It's probably London to Geneva. It's that kind of distance. And I've felt it nice and comfortable in here. There are a couple of things, I've got to be honest. I'm going to criticise the Model 3 Highland 4 of Tesla. Maybe one day Elon will see this. Maybe something will be done about it. Two things. The first time I've really driven in rain in this car, to be honest, and the auto wipers, are they any better than before? No. I don't get it why there isn't just a rain sensor that works. Serge said when he drove the EQC this morning in the rain, didn't have to touch the wipers once. The auto worked. It works on other cars, has done for years. It is still inconvenient. However, I did find a shortcut. So here I've got a button for wipe. On the old car, it was a button on the end of the stalk for wipe. And when you do that, it brings up a little bit at the bottom of the screen where you can change whether you're on auto or fast or slower and that kind of stuff. Well, I found that if you click the left scroll wheel, left and right, then you can automatically change the wiper setting. So click that once, scroll left and right, and you don't even have to look down at the screen at all, which I didn't want to because it was raining so heavily. That last bit in the dark and the rain. So that brings me to the second point I'm going to criticise the Highland for, which is I cannot wait for these Matrix adaptive headlights. I would have killed for these headlights are nice and bright and white, but in the dark, in heavy rain with lots of standing water, you need all the light you can get and see as much of the road as possible. And I would have killed for some, Porsche, Polestar, Audi Matrix headlights, BMW laser headlights, just so you can see as much as possible and see that puddle in the road there, like it's so much standing water. So the software update for Matrix headlights is due to drop on these cars soon. I'm waiting for it any day. So there'll be some videos on that coming up. Stay subscribed. So that was a day, wasn't it? So if you've been watching the video through, thank you ever so much for watching it. And if you watch all our videos, thank you. If you're not already subscribed, but loads of viewers aren't, then make sure you hit subscribe and you see more videos of us doing silly miles and comparing two different electric cars side by side. Again, the only real true way to get a proper comparison. Same speed, same road, same day. That's it from me for now. That's been a long day. See you in the next video soon. Thank you for watching.